How's it going, everyone? Back with another Clock Tower vid. This time we're taking a look at the alternate canon ending, which is ending B. This one is not too different than ending C. There's really only the differences at the beginning and then at the end. But other than that, everything remains roughly the same. Originally, I actually wasn't even really gonna make another video for Clock Tower Rewind, but you guys seemed to enjoy the first one so much. You guys had a lot of awesome things to say, so it really motivated me to get back on this game. And I really do appreciate all the support, you guys. So one thing I want to clear up that confuses a lot of people, including myself when I first started getting into this franchise, is the reason why there's multiple canon endings. The reason there's multiple canon endings is because Jennifer is the only survivor in both of them, and any ending where Jennifer is the only survivor, her and Edward, of course, I forgot to mention him, can be considered canon. And you're probably thinking, well, it still doesn't make sense. Why is there two that are considered canon? The reason two are considered canon is because in the second game, they do mention that Jennifer is the only survivor, but it's never mentioned how the others died, only that they did die, and that Jennifer and Edward were the only two survivors. Again, that's something that I felt needed to be cleared up because it is confusing. So fun fact about Lottie here, she's considered to be really the only friend Jennifer has from the orphanage. Jennifer doesn't really get along with Laura or Anne, and Lottie also doesn't either. They're actually both supposed to be very similar to each other, which explains why they do get along. You know, I kind of feel like I've done this before. I feel like the build up here is done really well because even though you don't really see like what actually happens to the girls here, well, I mean obviously you do like their deaths and stuff, but like what happened here exactly, like how they all got separated, it just leaves a lot to the imagination, which is really effective. These first few rooms that we go into, it's pretty much just cut and paste from the last video. We go in here, it's pretty much the exact same. I checked the shoebox, there's no key in there. And then the next room where we go see Polly again, we do the exact same thing, just capture him under a blanket. That way we can hide from Bobby later. But after these two rooms, though, that's when things start to change up a little bit. Alright, so once again, we're going to collect the perfume here because Mrs. Burroughs has to smell pretty, and then we're going to let Polly out of his cage once again. Back in the 90s, games didn't really kind of give you a forward answer with what to do next, so there was a lot of, especially with these point-and-click adventure games, there was a lot of just putting your cursor over things, waiting until it highlights where you get the square, and then just clicking on things until something happens. That's how I beat this game when I first played it. I totally never looked up a walkthrough. So, Polly sounds like he's just kind of blurting out gibberish, but he's actually saying, "I'll kill you." A common fan theory is that he was actually really traumatized from seeing all the atrocious acts that Mary Burroughs and her sons committed, and that's kind of why it acts so malevolent. It's also inferred that he actually suffocated to death under those blankets. Poor Polly. So here's the first big difference. Rather than going and finding Laura in the shower, we're actually going to run past that room and just run right out into the hall. So basically, rather than seeing Laura die first, we actually see Anne die first. We will find Laura later on in the video. If you watched my last video, I gave a hint about what could happen to her. So if you watched that one, you probably already know where she's going to be at. So same thing, Jennifer's going to hide under the bed. Bobby's going to walk in and be like, "Oh, she wouldn't be dumb enough to hide under her bed," and then just walk out. There's plenty of crazy weapons in the world. It's definitely a wonder why Bobby chose scissors. Actually, no, it's no wonder why. It's because the movie's based off the film Phenomena with Jennifer Connelly. In fact, Jennifer on here actually looks like pretty much a spitting image of Jennifer Connelly on that movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's one of those cheesy 80s kind of like slasher flick movies. And on there, one of the characters actually gets killed by a pair of scissors, and I believe that's where they drew inspiration from. They even have kind of like the deformed child on there, like Bobby Burroughs is in this game. So one major complaint of mine that's been about this game is that you couldn't run up the stairs. Well, it turns out in First Fear you actually can. Simply all you do is just double click the action button on the stairs. A user actually mentioned that on my last video, and thank you for that because it definitely speeds things up. That was always a headache just having to watch Jennifer basically crawl up these stairs. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into the storage room. We're going to collect the insecticide that's right at our feet, and then we're going to push the box over and collect the black robe that's in the chest on the other side. You also can collect that rope that's right behind the box over there. I do in the first walkthrough that I did of this. But honestly, it's really not, like, I've never had a use for it, so I just don't bother picking it up anymore. I feel like it just wastes time. A big complaint amongst reviewers with this game is basically the puzzles, and again, I do agree. I think they are a bit obnoxious. Like, it's not so bad to like push a box to climb over to the other side, but it's just the fact that you have to actually try to climb over to the other side first, as opposed to being able to just go to the box to push it over. It's more or less little things like that that I think tack on to the kind of the obnoxious nature that the puzzles have in this game. Another example is coming right up. So the box that I checked earlier that was in the room right before we saw the parrot, the box where Jennifer says it's empty, there is actually a chance that the key that's in that bird's nest will be there too. It's roughly a 50-50 split. If it's not there, then it's here. Again, you have to go check the bird's nest and then push the box over. Now if you'll direct your attention to the upper left corner of the screen. That was the intro for the Windows 95 edition of Clock Tower. Again, it wasn't released outside of Japan, but I thought that was really cool. I just really wanted to show you guys that. And on to the next part. We're actually in the playroom now. And again, go ahead and get your stamina up just in case you get the clown doll. The clown doll you do want a little bit of stamina for. If it's the flying maid doll, then you can just run right past it. But I believe I got the clown doll. Oh, never mind. I do get the maid doll. Okay, cool. Well, now I can show you guys how to deal with each one. My first walkthrough, I got the clown doll, so that's cool that I got the maid doll for this one, because then you guys can see what the differences are. For the maid doll, more or less just run right past it. It'll probably turn around. If it turns around, just run right past it again. You actually don't even need to use stamina for this part. I'm just kind of waiting for it. Yep, now I run. So yeah, you don't even need to use your stamina right there. She'll fly into the wall and that's it. And then we can get out of here. So this room that we go into, I don't think we even need to go in here. We probably could have just went out the back the way we came in the toy room. It's just more or less like out of habit that I ran into this room because my last walkthrough I ran in there to show you guys the window that Anne got thrown out of. So here you have to observe the gap in the floor first and then pick up the board to put over it. So for anyone who's new, this second statue right here, this is actually where you pick up the Black Demon Idol. I actually got the Scepter run again, surprisingly, which is a real shocker because I've never gotten the Scepter run this much, and I think that might be exclusive to New Fear. I think they just made it so it's more or less like a 50-50 split between the two because it was so uncommon in the original release. Also, if you're new, you're about to see a real deep dark secret. You'll notice I put my cursor over that rope for like a split second. I just wanted to see if you could pick it up. This is probably just like an alternate spot where you can pick it up. That in the closet that storage room that we went to get the insecticide into. So after that ridiculously long animation, Jennifer's going to pick up this 2x4 and hey bada bada swing that wall to bring it down. And this is actually a good spot to catch your stamina, just in case you do have the unfortunate pleasure of meeting Bobby in this room the second time we come back in here. If you watch my last walkthrough, you'll know exactly what's going on here. This is the dark secret that Mrs. Burroughs has been hiding from us. So yeah, that was Jennifer's father. Basically, he died of suffocation in this room when he ran out of oxygen. Definitely a slow, painful way to go. What's interesting about the PlayStation edition of this game is that it actually has a cutscene where you can actually see, presumably Jennifer's father holding one of the babies. It's assumed to be Bobby because Dan's little bit more deformed, as you'll see later in this walkthrough. At this point, I'm just waiting for Bobby to pop out of literally anywhere. On the first Fear Edition, you actually have to, it's mandatory that you have to encounter him at least twice. Whereas in the original, you could actually only encounter him one time basically at the beginning. And there was a lot of times where I wouldn't even see him again throughout that entire playthrough. I think it's really cool that they made it mandatory to at least encounter him twice. It adds more, keeps the game from getting boring. That was pretty big complaint about playing the originals. There's a lot of times where, like I said, I'd go the entire playthrough without encountering Bobby, other than the first encounter that we had with him. So it really helps keep things spiced up more or less. A neat detail that somebody pointed out in the last video I did that I never even noticed is just how similar this game is to the movie Halloween, the original one by John Carpenter. You have the three companions that get killed, leaving the one sole survivor. You have the emphasis on the story and the setting as opposed to like the gory, dramatic effects that were pretty popular at the time. And then you have very similar deaths for the two main antagonists, Michael and Scissorman. They both more or less plummet to their demise. Again, thank you to the viewer who pointed that out in the last video. That was something again I never even thought about. That was a really cool detail. So we're gonna go ahead and use the insecticide on the freezer to get rid of the bugs in there, so we can grab the gold key. So here I take the opportunity to recover my stamina because again I haven't ran into Bobby yet again, so I'm just waiting for any moment, and I don't want to be caught with no stamina. You definitely should be trying to keep your stamina pretty much full at all times. That's something I don't really do too much during this walkthrough. I have it low quite a bit, but that's more or less just to kind of keep moving things along for you guys. It's definitely a bit of a risk though, so if you're not recording, definitely take time to get breaks. So we're gonna look under the wine glass to collect the silver key, and then we finally get to see what happens to Laura in this ending. It's unknown whether or not Scissorman or Mary is the one that killed Laura, but it's most likely assumed to be Mary just because she's in this room with a knife in an earlier cutscene. And peekaboo. So after all this time, we finally ran into Bobby, and so what I do is I run into the garage, and there's a shovel in there you could use to incapacitate him. You can actually get another ending in the car garage too. The keys, I believe, are just actually in the car. You can collect them and drive off. I won't reveal exactly what happens, but it's pretty neat though. Maybe one of these times I'll do kind of like an extra bonus ending for you guys if you're interested. Right here is going to be why it was so important to keep your stamina up. If you're anything below blue, it can be real difficult to actually win these, so I definitely recommend keeping your stamina at full. So I knew Bobby coming to attack me was it was bound to happen, but I did not expect this next part. This next part actually jump scared me. I did not expect this at all. Bobby attacking you more than twice on the first fear, I wouldn't say is unheard of, but doing that like one right after the other, I mean, I didn't, like I said, that caught me completely off guard. It was definitely a welcome change of pace. Like I said, this game is just full of surprises, and I think that's what makes it so good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same method that we used to defeat him the first time. We're just gonna go hide under the bed where we more or less suffocated Polly. I think it's funny how just like the exact same thing plays out. He does the exact same animations. One thing I want to clear up with you guys, because I'm sure some of you guys were curious when it happened, is I mentioned there being a cutscene with Mrs. Mary of her holding a knife and going to attack Jennifer. The reason we didn't have it in this walkthrough is because I actually messed up a little bit earlier. I accidentally went to check the upstairs door, and just to kind of save time and make it look more seamless, I basically just reset that whole area. And if you reset the area, Mrs. Mary won't appear there at all, so you won't get the cutscene. So I just want to clear up like what happened there. So an interesting fact I wanted to share with you guys is that Bobby Burrows, the Scissor Man in this game, he was born in 1986, and the game takes place in 1995, and this is actually before his 9th birthday. So in this game, he is actually only 8 years old committing these acts. So, normally you see Bobby with a more grotesque appearance, like he's really, malformed and, like, really, just kind of grotesque looking, like his face is just, like something of, nightmares. But what was neat about that, intro that I showed you earlier from the, PC edition of this, that was released in Japan, he actually has a more humanoid appearance, like his face just looks like that of a normal boy. I mean, granted, you can't really see it too well because he's behind scissors, but, it's definitely something that I thought was interesting. So in case you're newer, what I'm doing here is I'm observing the wall real quick because in order to push this bookshelf over to see the entire painting, we actually have to observe the wall first. What that's going to reveal is that's going to reveal a fire right there, and that's going to lead us to the hint that we need the scepter. So you'll notice right when I came into this room, I went to the bookshelf that was off to the right and I observed the books over there. If you don't have the Scepter run, then you have the Black Demon Idol run, and those books will give you the location of the Black Demon Idol, which is what I showed you guys earlier in this playthrough. Okay, and unlike my last walkthrough, I actually remember where the Scepter is, after I get my stamina, of course. After the last two encounters with Bobby, I'm not taking any risks. It's crazy how sometimes things don't work out, but then there's those times where they just do. When I posted my first video of this game, I didn't think it was going to do that good. I thought it was maybe going to do as good as my other Clock Towers videos that I posted a while back. But then the views came in and it was higher than I anticipated. And just when I thought it was going to slow down, they just kept going up and up and up. And you guys started leaving a lot of positive feedback too. There was a lot of good energy on this video. And I just want to say thank you guys for that. That really helped me motivate to get back into it and start recording this video. This entire walkthrough is because of you guys. And I just want to say a deep from the heart thank you. And I look forward to seeing you guys more in the future. So here you're going to notice I did a little cut just because I accidentally went into that first room first. It's actually the second room we have to go into. Right about there. See how my energy went down? And then when we get in here, the Scepter's going to be right behind a curtain. It would have been a smart idea, too, to just catch my energy before I actually ran over there, because Bobby can drop down from the ceiling here, too. It's crazy to think like that before walkthroughs like were really a thing. It makes you wonder how the first people that played this game actually found out like where all this stuff was. I mean, they must have just literally ran into like every room and clicked on everything that they could. Okay, so now we're going to go into the warship room and there's going to be the drop off, and then there's also going to be a vase near it that we have to stick the scepter into. That represents the flames coming out of the vase that we saw in that drawing in the library. I'm definitely having like a go big or go home sort of thing. I'm definitely risking it by not getting my stamina up. Basically, one encounter with Bobby can pretty much mean game over. So this is the room that we have to go into, and once we get in there, Jennifer's gonna be like, "Oh, it looks familiar," and then that vase right over there that I have the arrow on, that's where we need to stick the scepter into. Breaks my heart. We have to rip out these perfectly good flowers. Okay, and that's the drop off that we need to climb down. Earlier, you'll remember that I grabbed some perfume and a black robe, and that we'll need that for up here. You'll see why. There's someone up there that's not too friendly. This is where the game kind of takes like an interesting twist, and we get to see kind of like all the cult stuff. You actually see a cult member up here. It makes you wonder just like how many of them are down here. And this is who I was talking about. So you might have to monkey around a little bit with the perfume and the black robe to actually use it. Like here, I'm catching my stamina and I'm getting back up. It's real finicky. Like, see, now I could use it. I couldn't use it at the start though. It's really finicky here. You might have to, like I said, move around a little bit to get it to work. I don't know if this was a problem that arisen in this remaster or if it was in the original, but it's definitely something I think they should look at though. So this dog never looks behind him, so we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that and keep pushing forward. So if you don't go to Lottie here, you'll actually get another ending, where when you go into the elevator, Bobby will just kill you right there. I can't remember like the letter of the ending that one is, but that's what happens though. So the elevator switches are the fuse box right there, the one with the green and red light on it. It's definitely another obnoxious thing that you can't just turn them on right here. They make you run back to turn them on, like when the cave starts falling. But it only takes a minute or two. But it's definitely something I feel they should have cut out. It's only exclusive to the first Fear Edition too. Okay, and now we get to meet someone who's been dying to meet us. Oh, he just wants a hug, Jennifer. So here you're going to want to make sure your stamina is above red, because if it's not above red and you go to the panic sequence, it just flat out doesn't work. Like you don't get like the flashing blue light or anything. It's I don't know if that's a glitch in this remaster or if that was in the original. I maybe thought that that was just exclusive to First Fear. Maybe that was a way to just kind of push players to recover their stamina more. But it's definitely another thing that I feel needs to be addressed. So after Dan dies and Jennifer runs off, we actually get a cutscene of Edward being reincarnated from Dan's ashes. It's definitely something that I feel shouldn't have been included, even in the first Fear Edition, because it's just such a huge spoiler for the next game. Like when you play the next game after you watch this cutscene, that you're just gonna flat out be like, "Well, I wonder who the Scissor Man is." So here we're gonna run up to the elevator. You actually have to push the button first. Jennifer will be like, "Oh, it doesn't work," and that's when we have to go back out to the fuse box that we saw earlier. In the original SNES edition, I don't believe you had to run back out there to turn on the switch for the elevator. I think you could just go right into the elevator. So, fun fact about Dan Burrows is he actually has telekinesis, and he uses this to haunt the mansion. Fun example of this is right at the beginning. I didn't show it, but right above the dresser where you find the perfume, Mrs. Burrows' perfume, there's a mirror that you can actually observe, and a hand comes out of it and grabs you, and it's highly implied that Dan Burrows is the one who made this happen. So now that we turn the elevator on, we're going to go ahead and take it up to the clock tower, and we'll have the finale of this game unfold. I want to say there's actually two different endings that can take place in this elevator. I'm not 100% sure, again, the lettering's on them, but I know at least one can, but I want to say there is two, though. If anyone knows for sure, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. So in the last video, we actually went to the second floor, and we were outside in the rain for a little bit, climbing up the ladder, and that's where we kicked Mrs. Burrows off us. This one we just took all the way up to the clock tower, and pretty much it unfolds the same with Bobby. Like you just turn these switches on, and the clock tower takes him out. Mrs. Burrows, though, that's a little bit different, though, and you'll see it unfold here in just a little bit. considering all the things she's done, it was definitely satisfying to see her go that way. And that's another clock tower ending in the books. Thanks again, guys, for viewing this. It really is appreciated. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and like and subscribe. That's also greatly appreciated too. And I look forward to seeing you guys again in the next video. You guys have an awesome day. All right. Yeah, sorry, I skipped the credits again. Or did I?